Just like that, we're back. It's a Views from Section 400 podcast. Matt, Jack, and Brian bringing you along in this action-packed episode. We continue our journey through the NFL divisions, previewing them all. The AFC South is on the cards today, and it's a big one because that is where the Jacksonville Jaguars are. And as you can tell, Jack is a huge Jaguars fan, so stay tuned to dive into their entire outlook preview on the season. I'm sure they're winning the Super Bowl this year. We'll see what happens when we dive into that. But Mike of the Week in this one, and a little bit of Olympic talk before we jump into the NFL preview here, the AFC South. But before we get over to the Mike of the Week, a quick word from our sponsor, SeatGeek.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's tough to say, but the summer is almost over. With the 80-degree weather and sunny days coming to an end, there's no better time than now to head over to SeatGeek. Whether you want to get to a ball game up in Section 400 this summer, check out an outdoor concert before the weather turns to rain and snow, or go to a football game, yep, those are happening in August, SeatGeek is the premier ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. All of you up in Section 400 can get $20 off your first ticket purchase with code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout. Again, that's code VIEWSFROM400 for $20 off your first purchase at checkout. You can click the link in the description of the show to download the app, go to your favorite event, use our code, $20 off. And now, Michael of the Week.
Now time for the Mike of the Week. Always a fun segment. I know Brian calls it the Michael of the Week. I like Mike of the Week. We'll let him kick it off. Brian, what's your Michael of the Week?
Well, you can take the name of the Michael of the Week up with Mr. Killer Mike himself. I'm sure he'd love to have that conversation about his name. But my Michael of the Week is going to be none other than the Jackson 3. So we all know about the Jackson 5, but the Jackson 3 is taking over baseball. There are currently more guys with the first name Jackson in the major leagues than with the last name Jackson. And Jackson's a huge last name in terms of historical significance in baseball. I mean, you got Bo Jackson, you got Reggie Jackson. But right now, it's Jackson Holliday, Jackson Churio, and Jackson Merrill. The three youngest players in baseball are making waves. They're all on playoff teams as the season ended today. Jackson Holliday's finally getting his legs wet and playing well in the majors. I don't know where this Jackson renaissance is coming from. But even right now, in terms of the 2024 prospects, Jackson is the third most popular name of all the prospects in Major League Baseball, behind only Luis and Michael. And it's ahead of Jacob, Jose, and Ryan. The Jackson renaissance is in full swing.
Yeah, I don't have much count on you to that.
Yeah, can always count on you to bring us the most ridiculous stats. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, we're talking about name percentages in MLB. Jackson, Luis, and Michael, those are the top three. That's what you're telling me?
Luis and Michael are the top three, or the top two, and Jacob, Jose, and Ryan are right behind them.
The more you know. Thank you, Brian.
Does Jurickson Profar, like Jurickson, translate to Jackson?
I don't know. I mean, it's another Mike versus Michael thing, right?
Right. You never know, dude. I mean, Jurickson, he's a Spanish guy, right?
Yeah, he's I think no, he's not Netherlands. That was Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, I was sorry, maybe he was Dutch as well.
He might be Dutch.
Xander Bogaerts is
Jurickson definitely sounds like you can translate to Jackson.
Jurickson is from Curacao.
Okay.
Which is right next to Xander Bogaerts in Aruba.
There you go.
Do you have confirmation on the Jurickson translation or no?
I don't know if there's actually Jurickson translation. Let's see. To English.
Because Matt or Matthew in Spanish is Mateo.
So Jurickson is Swedish origin, and it translates to the son of Jurek.
I don't know. I took a shot.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, there's also Jackson Rutledge right now for my hometown team, I guess, Nationals. He's in AAA. He's pitching like dog water, but he might be in the majors soon. So we might see a sixth Jackson make his way to the major leagues before we know it.
Maybe, but Interesting Mike of the Week there for you, Brian.
Thank you. I tried.
Yeah, talk about getting into the rabbit hole in the first opening segment of the pod.
I mean, we have football preseason, but we're not quite there yet. So the pickings are still slim.
The last bits of nonsense stats.
Yeah, Brian, you might not be there yet, but I am. So here I come with my Michael of the Week. I had two. I really couldn't decide between them, so I'm coming at you with both. They'll be quick. Both coming from head coaches in the NFL. First one, new Falcons head coach, Raheem Morris. He was talking about why him and the Falcons made the Michael Penix pick, which shocked everybody in the NFL draft this year. And what he said was probably the only thing I've heard so far that wouldn't make me want to riot as a Falcons fan. And that is, with the way that he expects the Falcons to go, they're not going to have another high pick in another draft anytime soon. They're not going to have a chance to get a franchise quarterback anytime soon. And I kind of understand that. You bring in Kirk Cousins, if he comes back healthy off that injury, they should be A-okay. And you're right. They should be a playoff team. The NFC South is dog water. They should be able to make a way to the playoffs. So I guess I kind of understand where he's coming from. You guys think that's a viable reason for the most surprising pick in the 2024 NFL draft?
Maybe.
I think it's an excuse at best. I don't know that that's a great foot to stand on is why they made that pick when they definitely didn't need it.
I mean, it's got to make the players feel good at least, right? Like you're kind of saying, hey, we're not going to be rebuilding anytime soon.
Right, we're actually trying to win. But shouldn't that have already said that before the draft when you gave Kirk Cousins almost $100 million?
Yeah, that's another good point. You kind of make that statement paying Kirk Cousins.
Right, before making the pick. If anything, you go get loaded up with another, skilled player that you can use. I mean, Penix isn't going to play, right? I mean, unless Cousins gets hurt, I don't know. It just seems like a waste.
Yeah, I guess you can make the kind of case. I know MLB teams do this sometimes with players returning from injury at the deadline. At least the Mets do it a lot to make excuses. But you can say in a way, Kyle Pitts is kind of your first round pick now that you have Kirk Cousins. So you have a skill position that hasn't done anything because his quarterback play's been so bad. So now you're adding him, I guess.
And
no,
yeah, I don't know.
No. That is an irresponsible way to look at this situation.
I'm just trying to spin zone it for Falcons fans to not be jumping off a bridge here.
I mean, they've kind of whiffed on a couple of the picks. I mean, is Kyle Pitts a bust?
Potentially. I mean, what has he shown us?
Or is it just bad quarterback play?
This has got to be the make or break year for him, right?
This is the year you find out.
This is definitely the year. There's no doubt about that.
And then Bijan seems like he should be fine.
So does Drake London. I got more faith in Drake London and Bijan. Way more faith in them compared to Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I mean, there's pieces and weapons there. They're just unproven because the quarterback play has been so horrible. But we'll get into the Falcons when it's their preview. Jack, you had a second Michael of the Week for us?
Coming at you from another head coach, this time from Las Vegas, Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce, who I think we're all going to come to love like we do Dan Campbell. He came out this week and said, yeah, let's like pump the brakes a little bit. I'm going to announce the starting quarterback, sometime next week, maybe the week after. Like, we're not in any rush. I'm sitting there like, is this just an Antonio Pierce, sort of like veteran coach, like old head sort of mentality where you don't want to announce your starting quarterback? Or does he actually not have faith in Gardner Minshew? Because Gardner Minshew is going to start every game for this team. You're telling me Aiden O'Connell, you'd rather set AOC out there than Gardner Minshew? There's no shot. I just found that absolutely surprising and wanted to understand if you guys had any idea why he would say something like that. I mean, am I just crazy thinking that Gardner's got this on lock or what?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to hear a lot from an AOC of any kind until after November. I don't know about that quarterback. I think it's the right move for Antonio Pierce. I mean, I know Minshew has had his success. He almost made the playoffs last year, which stay tuned. We'll get into that later. But if you're the Raiders, you want O'Connell to be something. So you want to have at least a little bit of faith in him in this training camp to take over that job. So I guess there's that kind of thing into it. Even if he's not looking like he's going to, you at least want to give him that leash. That's, I guess, my only thing.
Optics. Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of screwed because they're in a rebuild, I think, but they have Devontae Adams locked into this huge deal. So it's like they kind of need a total shit season to get like a top 3 pick to try and draft a franchise quarterback. But, I don't know if you guys watched the Netflix show Receiver, Devontae Adams run out of time. He's not going to be this forever.
No, he doesn't have time for them to quote unquote rebuild. If they decide to do that, he'll be gone by the trade deadline for sure.
I think that's kind of what they need to do to really right this ship, because Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell for me is not the answer. So him saying he has a guy or doesn't have a guy, for me it's like they don't have a guy. Even though they have 2 right there, they don't have a guy.
Yeah, it's tough for me to say that they're gonna, and we'll get into this when we get into the AFC West preview, but it's tough for me to say that they have any legitimate shot at winning a title this year. So I'm with you. You got to do enough to build your team to the right place to be able to win. Because even if you have the best roster in the league, you still don't always win the championship. But if you don't have, a halfway decent roster, which is sort of where the Raiders are sitting, middle to bottom of the pack, you got no shot. You gotta do right by your players, rebuild properly. But they're locked into Adams, they're locked into Crosby, Wilkins, a couple guys in the defense. It's a shit show in Las Vegas.
I was about to say I like the direction. This is like the first time in the last couple of years I like the direction of the Raiders.
Why?
I mean, if you're going to compare it to the last few years with are you talking like when Gruden took over and on?
I think, yeah, after they made the playoffs and then Carr got hurt, ever since then, they've kind of been in this limbo. I think Pierce is going to have them going in the right direction. Crosby's a stud. They got Brock Bowers there now. I think he's going to develop into a stud. And they just have to find the quarterback. I like some pieces they have. They don't have the full team yet, but they got pieces to go forward.
Yes, but there's a difference between going in the right direction and moving forward versus being able to win a Super Bowl and being able to do the ultimate goal. And, they might be, I don't know what they went last year, 7-10. Maybe they can go 9-8 this year, but I mean, we're not looking at the Super Bowl. We're no Ravens, we're no Chiefs,
But yeah, the NFL is not the NBA though. Like you need to have winning seasons or at least like 500 seasons before you can make that step. You can't tank and trust the process and then 5 years later try to be this top tier team. So I think getting Pierce in there is the right step for them.
Well, we've seen the process doesn't even work either. So,
that might just be a Philly problem.
I guess. I'll jump into my Mike of the Week before we jump into a little Olympics and then into what everybody cares about, and that's some AFC South previewing. But, I just saw on Saturday the MLB will be playing a real game at a NASCAR speedway. Did anybody see that? In 2025, the Reds and the Braves will play at Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee. So Bristol, Tennessee, I guess a little bit south from Cincinnati, a little bit north from Atlanta, right in that sweet spot to kind of capture both fan bases or whatever. But yeah, Rob Manfred is really throwing his twist on things, because that speedway or venue holds 150,000 people. So will they sell that out? That'll be a lot of people to go watch a baseball game. And a really interesting venue. I saw the specs they kind of laid out. It looks cool. If it was a little closer, I'd try and go. It's definitely going to be a cool event. But yeah, I think it's cool bridging both sports. But what are you guys' thoughts?
My immediate thoughts are we need to take a team trip out there,
I think it'd be pretty
like
cool.
on the company dime. How does that sound, Brian?
Code Beers for 400. $20 off the first purchase. I think
Fund
Manfred.
our field trip.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to the New Hope Wiffle Ball League here, but I think Rob Manfred was scouting our games and he saw we had to stop for the vans on the field when a car had to go through left field, and now he's taking the MLB to, the racetrack. I love the idea.
Yeah, and it shows even how big these tracks are, because the Bristol Motor Speedway is considered a short track, so a small track, and they're still going to be able to fit a full baseball diamond in the middle of it. So that just shows you how massive these speedways are.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then, while we're on the topic and before we move on from Mike of the Week, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but it is worth mentioning in this segment. Pitbull is sponsoring FIU's football stadium, and it will be called Pitbull Stadium. So while we're on the topic of venues.
I did see that.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But, yeah, I mean, that's a Mike of the Week, as always, presented by SeatGeek and Views from Section 400. Brian, our unofficial, official, non-boots on the ground Olympic correspondent. The Olympics are over. It's the final ceremony. We're wrapping it up. I know the U.S. won gold for the men's and women's, a little closer than people thought. And yeah, I mean, what do you got for us, dude? I mean, I know you've been dialed in.
Yeah, well, this is finally the Olympics has been a fun ride, but I am just happy to say in 4 years, we will finally be able to watch live Olympic events in actual prime time. It's coming home, baby. And the U.S. gold medal, for all the gold medals, they won 40 of them in these Olympics. They're going to win more on home soil, but every gold medal is coming home in 2028.
I was just going to say, because you mentioned that prime time piece, but it is in LA. So are you going to be irritated when there's a prime time game going on and it's light out?
Yeah, I wasn't trying to think about
Probably
that.
didn't even think of that, did you?
It's going to be back as baseball's coming back, so I already know there's going to be some baseball games with the sun out, and it'll be like the gold medal match.
Yep.
But that we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We don't have to. I don't have to think about that now. What I am thinking about now is how the United States could have used Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in that game yesterday, barely getting by France.
Could they have used her? I guess they still got it done. So it doesn't matter.
They got it done in about the most on-brand way for a women's basketball game to end with needing a game-tying 3, and you take a 2 to lose by 1.
Just not knowing where her feet are and just jacking up. And didn't she bank it in too?
Yep.
Just the most ridiculous way to end it. But the men's was more exciting. Dude, Steph Curry absolutely lit up the world. Took over. They say lay America. Dude, it was Lay Curry yesterday, bro. I mean, he took over and absolutely lit up the world.
Yeah. LeBron, Steph, KD, and Book. Those 4 really, they were special in these Olympics. I gotta include Devin Booker with those big 3. I saw Steve Kerr made a mention about it too, and good on him for doing so, because Devin Booker really was the quote-unquote unsung hero in these Olympics. But, dude, what an incredible performance from Curry. I mean, they were talking about it the entire game, the whole broadcast, about how Steph was talking about this gold medal was the last thing he needed in the cabinet, like the only award he really cared about. He's got the finals MVPs. He just wanted this gold medal, and boy, did he look locked in and ready to take it home. I mean, he fucking snatched that thing. That was one of the best games I've ever seen.
I think he cemented his spot as not only the best shooter of all time, but the best shooter of all time for the rest of time. Whenever it gets brought up again, whenever we find another great shooter, there will never be, and I'm confident in saying this isn't a West Coast is never going to win a championship type take. Like, this is I objectively believe is never going to happen again. Steph Curry had 2 guys on him late in the shot clock, and he had the second best player of all time and a top 10 player of all time wide open on the 3-point line. And he chucked up a contested three, and it went in. He's the only person in the world and ever in the world where that will be considered a good shot, and he made the shot to win his team a gold medal. Like, that is absolutely unreal. The image of just Kevin Durant and LeBron James sitting there wide open and Curry chucking it up, fade away, end of shot clock. Unreal.
Hey, it went in.
Yeah, it's like I had confidence in it going in too. It's just never going to happen again.
No.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I can't wait till we get another debate, but it's always wild thinking, watching like this guy is the best shooter ever. And we're watching it in real time. I mean, we watched him grow. I remember bits and pieces of him at Davidson. I know as a young kid, but I mean, just watching the whole career develop and unfold and literally turning into the best ever. And probably for the rest of our time, that will be what the case is. I mean, it's just pretty cool. At least for me, last thing on the Olympics was just a fun stat. I guess I'm taking a little Brian Nugget stat here. But yeah, the U.S., Brian, you mentioned, had 40 gold medals. They actually tied China with 40 gold medals. That's the first time that's ever happened at the Summer Olympics. Ever. That two countries tied for the most gold medals at 40 and 40. And it's just kind of on brand that it's USA and China.
Yeah, Jack's number one pick for countries other than the USA, Italy. Spoiled it for the US. We had a volleyball final today, and Italy beat the US team. Would have been the 41st for the United States.
Nice.
Sorry, Brian. I know you're taking that personally.
It kind of hurt. It kind of hurt. I will finish off this with saying I do recognize that my Germany to medal pick did not hit, and I apologize. It was looking really good, but Jokic had other plans. Should have known after they bitched at the refs all game against the USA, they'd come back with a vengeance.
We were kind of off. Like, we were all in on Germany, all in on Canada, and both didn't medal.
Well,
Jack had
I was pretty in on France, and Brian tried to shut me down on that. But, in the home country, I just had a feeling they were going to get it done to some degree. Obviously, you're not going to beat the U.S., but they got the second best place and, finished with silver. So I kind of expected that. But then as far as, Canada and Germany and pretty much just everybody else in the field, it's just all the way that the bracket shaped up. I mean, Brian said it on the last podcast. That was the West between Canada, Germany, France. They had some heavy hitters out there, and we, not that Serbia was a cakewalk, but we'd already played them twice. Once, in the group play, once in the exhibition, and then once. And then who was the other game against? Australia.
Australia lost to Serbia. You're
Who
thinking
did we?
the U.S.?
Yeah, who did we beat in the quarterfinal?
Quarterfinal was
Was it like Brazil or something like
yeah,
that?
Brazil.
Oh, Brazil, exactly. Yeah, Brazil and Australia got the same colors. My bad. But that was an easy game. So we had a pretty much a cakewalk. They had a tough time over there in the West. It was just all the way the bracket shook out.
Yeah, and with Canada, like it just goes to show you how, yeah, the U.S. continuously has the most talent, but it's not just about talent. Like, you have to win these games. It shows you their dominance is so special because Canada had the second best team if you just look at like NBA talent and just expectations. And they
Dude,
flamed out.
SGA was borderline the MVP of the league this past year. I mean, that's got to count for something. They didn't even medal.
Well, it's a little different with the rules, and I think the rules and the reps affect it a little bit more. What I was saying about the rim, specifically the rim rules. I mean, Wembanyama was basically a fucking cheat code. Like we barely stopped him in that gold medal game. But with the rim rules, where like you can just put up a shot and basically crowd it straight into the basket and no goaltending, like that's just. I mean, he's a cheat code. So, I mean, I kind of expected that to be the case. And then on the other side, like, with SGA, he's a free throw merchant. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, he's a free throw merchant, just like Embiid. just like how hard it used to be. So when we're in these rules and you're not getting to the line, 20 times a game, guys like SGA struggle a little bit. But also, Jamal Murray was the one who really struggled for Canada.
Yeah, there was a point in that gold medal game where Wemby had that put back on the rim, and in the heat of the moment, every single player on the U.S. just forgot the rule. Like the cylinder, and I think with Noah Eagle had to be like, "Yeah, guys, that's not the rules here. You got to keep playing."
Yeah, that was fun.
And then, you did, mention that Embiid piece too. I mean, like the guy or hate the guy, how awesome is it to always see him embracing that villain role?
Yeah.
Derek, when they were giving him the medals, he was bumping up the crowd. The whole team's like, yeah.
The whole team was loving it too, dude. LeBron was getting him fired up, but it was just like, dude, he got like LeBron, everybody got standing ovation clapping. And as soon as it went to Embiid, it was like full blown like booing throughout the whole, and Embiid was loving it. So I always like to see the guy that embraces the villain role and, doesn't get all pissed off and start running his mouth to reporters after and being like a crybaby about it. He's embracing it and living in the moment. So props to that. You always need him.
Yeah, he's just a troll. It's funny.
I mean, also, we've during this whole Noah Lyles saga and like the European versus NBA, not all of it, but one of the main things the European game has been saying, supporters of the European game, is the loudness and the atmospheres of the crowd. I don't know if it was just the U.S. broadcast not doing it justice, but I've heard Trae Young get booed louder in MSG than I heard Embiid get booed in France. And like that, it was loud at points, but it did not seem like this rowdy, like World Cup final atmosphere type crowd.
Nah, it just.
It's the Olympics, not the World Cup.
It's the home, yeah, but it's the home country. Like I understand it's not soccer, but if you're gonna make the claim that you care more over there, then care more. And I understand, like, yeah, it's the Olympics, like celebrities, and it's more of an event, but like still, you're the home country.
Like Brian, when in 2028, when we host the gold medal Olympic basketball game, how expensive do you think those tickets are going to be? You think, as much as a fan of that any of us are, you think we have a shot at getting into one of those games? Like minimum couple $1,000 ticket, no?
Yeah, it's going to be expensive, but like, I don't know. The people that are there are going to be loud.
I'm just I noticed that there were a decent amount of like Americans and like at least USA fans for that basketball game in attendance, and
I guess
I'm not going to speak on economics here per se, but I would have to think an American going over to France to go to the Olympics, they're the ones who are sitting in the seats versus the average Frenchman.
Yeah. Well, either way, the U.S. owns the Olympic basketball stage. There's been 3 other countries that have won gold in the basketball Olympics, men's side. 2 of them don't exist anymore. The one that does exist is Argentina. The other 2 were Yugoslavia and the USSR. So I don't care about these World Cups. I don't care about Eurobasket, which, by the way, is in 2025. I will be covering that. So stay tuned if you liked my coverage of these Olympics. But yeah, the U.S. owns men's basketball, and shout out Kevin Durant, his 4th gold, most of any man.
Shout out for that. But the Olympics is over. What do we get next? Winter Olympics in 2 years?
Yep. And I'm not sure where those are, but I can look it up.
I was going to say, where's that being hosted?
Aspen.
Dude, if it's in China or Russia again, like I feel like it's always in China.
Is this Italy? Milano?
Mongolia.
Yeah, Italy.
All right. I can live with that.
Does it get cold
in the Alps, baby?
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to be pretty cool. But why don't we talk some football and get real American with it? Enough with the European bullshit.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Let me grab
America, baby. All right, AFC South. It's time. Jack, you getting like a little buzz to talk some Jags football?
Hell yeah, baby. Let's go Jags.
Right on cue. Yeah, it's the AFC South, a division that was kind of a joke for a little while and now is starting to turn into some teams are hot. Good team. I mean, Jack, I'm not even coming at you, bro. Like
it's already
the division was a joke.
You got a point. You got a point.
And then I said, now they're starting to come back. The Texans are solid. The Jags, I'll get into them. The Colts, I think, are a sleeper, and then the Titans are probably the joke of the division this year. But yeah, I think Brian, you wanted to. We'll get the joke out of the way first and talk the Titans.
I'll talk about the joke here. So that joke went 6-11 last year, and then fired Mike Vrabel, who was considered a very good head coach, but I guess his time ran out there in Nashville. Their over is sitting at 6.5 this year, and it's favored. It's plus 104. So no faith by the sports books. And really, I mean, me, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, and we'll get your takes later, but not a lot of faith in Titans this year. They did add Calvin Ridley, Jack's guy, for at least one season. Tony Pollard as well. They got a tackle out of Alabama in the first round. But then they lost Derrick Henry, and of course they lost Mike Vrabel. And Will Levis will be QB1 this year. So I don't know. I'll get right into these questions, and then if you guys have any faith in the over, you can tell me. But all right. So like I mentioned, Will Levis is going to be QB1 this year. He had 4 touchdowns in his first game last year, and then 4 in the next 8. So he infamously likes to add mayonnaise to his coffee. Does he caffeinate the Titans offense this year to become a top 15 quarterback in fantasy?
Was that a real stat?
He does
to the coffee.
That's he likes mayo in his coffee.
Oh no, he does like to do that. He's like sponsored by Hellman's Mayo and everything.
That's outrageous. What was the question? I was thrown off by that first part.
Does he caffeinate the Titans offense by becoming a top 15 fantasy quarterback this season?
Just because of how many times they might have to be throwing the ball in garbage time, maybe. I could see him being fringe 15, but I don't have a lot of faith in it. That would be my only silver line is like, a lot of garbage time points.
Yeah, I mean, with the way that this team is set up, shipping Derrick Henry out of town and bringing in Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, an offensive coordinator who likes to run with 3 wide receivers, I think that they're set up to throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game. So if Will Levis is throwing that much, on top of it, he's an athletic guy. He has like some rushing upside. Is there a world where he finishes top 15? Yes. Do I expect that to happen? Absolutely not. I don't think they score enough points, score enough touchdowns. No, he is not a top 15 quarterback. Maybe not top 20.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys there. I think he'll be a solid guy if your quarterback gets injured and your backup's on a bye and you need somebody. I think he'll give you like 12 fantasy points.
Yeah, and he's playing like the Commanders or something. Like, yeah, he's a streamer, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe one of these running backs won't be a streamer and could finish as a flex play, but Nashville is the spearhead of country music in the United States. Where will Tajay Spears head his way up the depth chart? Will he be number 1, or is it going to be Tony Pollard as the lead?
Well, they paid Tony Pollard to be their lead back, so Tony Pollard's going to be their lead back, but I would expect this to be a very heavy split.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be Pollard, but I'm on the same page as Jack. Definitely could be a dual threat with Pollard being like the feature guy.
Yeah, I just after watching Pollard in Dallas as the featured guy compared to how he looked kind of coming in to spare Zeke, I don't know if I want any part of this backfield, especially because Spears and Pollard are both like little guys. They don't really have the thunder. It's just 2 lightnings.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they're very similar backs, which is I was very surprised when they brought Tony Pollard in here.
Yeah, it's not a good problem to have. But moving on.
They're paying him, though. They're going to use him.
Got to spend the money somewhere.
That too. Moving on to the wide receivers. Calvin Ridley dropped almost as many passes as parlays last season. Does he lead the Titans in receptions, or does DeAndre Hopkins continue to be the lead receiver?
Well, there was just some news about Hopkins. I think it's a knee injury. I could be wrong about that, but apparently he's going to be out for like 4 to 6 weeks, like over the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I don't know if he's missing regular season time, regular season games. So for that reason alone, I'm going to say Calvin Ridley leads his team. in receptions, but if there's no Hopkins injury, he sort of has a rapport with Levis from last year, so I would lean Hopkins. The injury kind of scares me, so I'll go Ridley.
Yeah, I'll go Ridley just strictly on his youthfulness. Hopkins is old, man. He's like, you know, he's waiting just for something bad to happen. I have no faith in, somebody hits him the wrong way. I mean, he could be out.
I could be wrong, but I think Hopkins is like 32 and Ridley is like 30. So there's not like a huge gap there.
I thought Ridley was late. No way, Ridley's 30.
Yeah, Ridley's probably not 30 yet. He was
Calvin Ridley's 29.
wow, he must have
Just
just Bama
him?
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it must have. But I don't know. I'll take the guy pre-30 than the guy who's post-30.
Okay.
Simple as that, right?
Yeah, Ridley's last season was 17. So he was there, but he was old. But yeah, this team, these questions got harder and harder as we went on because they're just not very talented. But they did
Wow.
sign Kenneth Murray on defense. He was a highly touted first rounder out of Oklahoma in 2020. Never really lived up to the hype with the Chargers, but he did have 107 tackles last season. And now he comes to Tennessee as kind of the guy there. So what is higher, his tackle totals this season or the total seconds of Rosenhine's first dance at Murray Hill of 105 seconds?
Dude, I don't know anything about this guy, Kenneth Murray. I highly touted coming out of Oklahoma. If you're not a quarterback or a wide receiver coming out of Oklahoma, I probably don't know about you. So
He's the first round pick.
Yeah, it was him. It was Kenneth Murray and I think Patrick Queen were like the two star linebackers out of that draft.
well, one of those guys is actually good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more Murray was not on a great team, but yeah, I mean, Queen's still probably the better guy out of there. I think he's going to be, like you said, Brian, the only guy flying around doing anything. So, I can see him having 110 tackles. So I'll take a stab on Murray.
They got the linebacker that I know in Tennessee is what's his name, like Azeez Al-Shaair or something like that.
Yeah, I think he just left.
No,
He might be on the Texans now. Yeah, he is on the Texans now.
oh
And
wow,
we'll get to that later.
so they just took a little snag from the Titans.
Yeah.
Man.
We just talked about Patrick Queen moving on, and now we got
Yeah, we got a lot of interdivisional trades. I don't know how I feel about these anymore. All right, well, in that case, if they shipped him out of town, yeah, I'm with Matt. Give me the over on this guy's tackles, I guess.
all right. And then my last question before we make our pick on the over/under. Their new head coach is named Brian Callahan. In your opinion, what is the correct way to spell Brian?
I'll give it to you, Brian. Brian seems correct.
Yeah, just for the sake of pissing you off, Brian, I'm just going to say it's Bryan.
All right, there you go, Timmons. You got to vote. I know you're listening. Friend of the pod. And that's all I have. All right, Jack, is this team going over or under 6.5?
Oh, are they going over under 6.5 wins on the season? Under. They're going to have like a top 5 pick next year.
This team's going to be bad. Under.
All right, to zig while you guys zag, I'll go with over. And
This team's not winning 7 games.
I have a little bit of faith in Will Levis. If a guy wants to come out and put mayo in his coffee and be that bold about stuff, he has to be a decent quarterback in the NFL. He's got some kind
That's not even being bold. That's just psychotic.
Well, that too.
Yeah, you're going to have to quote that one, Brian.
You need a little bit of psycho in you to be a good NFL player.
I guess.
You need a little bit of psycho in you to make the NFL, period.
Yeah, it's psycho for the D line. I can see a D lineman doing that. Either way, I'm done talking about the Titans. Can we jump over to Indianapolis?
Yeah, let's get out of this.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I got them as my sleeper team this year. I think they have a very, very well positioned, at least offense. I don't know much about the defense, but I just feel like in general, the Colts are kind of like the Steelers in that way of where they just always kind of have a solid defense. I'm not sure how they were last year. I mean, they had a winning record last year. They're 9-8 last year. They're over under 7, 8.5. We'll jump into that in a second. I don't want to butcher the name, but they did also draft Adonai Mitchell. Am I saying that correctly? Adonai Mitchell.
Adonai, I think.
Adonai.
Either way, they added Mitchell from Texas, who was a pretty electric piece for them. I mean, Texas went very far last year. Yeah, so with Pittman, with Mitchell, Anthony Richardson back healthy, Jonathan Taylor, a pretty solid offensive line. I mean, this offense, I think a lot of people are underrating, and it should be pretty good. But let's jump in to some questions. I know I just touched on Anthony Richardson coming back. People forget he was lights out the first couple games, and then he got that season-ending injury. Great fantasy quarterback to start the year as well. But we saw C.J. Stroud go off last year. Do we see a C.J. Stroud-esque or style season at Anthony Richardson this year? Do we see possibly top 5 in MVP voting? Based on those pieces that I just mentioned, too, solid O-line, Jonathan Taylor's there, Mitchell from Texas, Michael Pittman there. I mean, I'm excited to see what this Colts offense can be this year.
I'm gonna grab my old man cane and slouch my back a little bit and come out with an old man take that I've had about Anthony Richardson. If you don't win in college a lick, you're not going to win in the NFL. And he might put up stats, but he's not going to win enough to garner those MVP votes. So that's the only reason I don't like him.
I was not going to say something as long-winded as that, Brian, but we're on the same page because, look, he is a very impressive athlete and a very impressive quarterback. He can sling it. He can run it. I mean, he looks like another Cam Newton, and I don't say that lightly, being an Auburn guy. But that's the kind of player that he is. He is truly special throwing and running the ball. But he doesn't win. Brian, you said that right. He didn't win in college with Florida. He didn't win in his first 4 games, playing. I think he won 2-2, maybe 1-3. But I understand it was his first 4 games in the NFL too. Give the kid a break. But at the same time, there's too much that's going on here. Too much that can go wrong. I mean, he only made it through 4 games last year. Who's to say he makes it through 4, 5, 6, 17 games this year? I'm with Brian. I don't think that he's gonna win them enough games for them to be for him to be an MVP conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he's not going to win in the NFL, but it's more you got to prove it before I'm going to say you can go out and do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because did Patrick Mahomes win in college?
He was on Texas Tech, and he went to bowl games.
I don't know. He went to Texas Tech and threw for 5,000 yards. Anthony Richardson went to Florida and had highlight plays.
And I think it's slightly contradicting on your part, Brian, because you're huge on Jaden Daniels. And what the hell did he win?
I was waiting for someone to bring that up. Fuck yeah.
He won 9 games. Anthony Richardson didn't win more than that in the SEC.
I guess we got to clarify what we mean by winning, because as far as I'm concerned, Jaden Daniels didn't do shit either.
He went 9-3. In today's college football playoff, he would have been in the playoff with a terrible defense. Anthony Richardson wasn't even close to that.
Yeah, I mean, 2 different programs. Florida's just been bad since Tebow.
Yeah, I think you guys are both making fair points right now, but Brian, let's not put that entirely on the defense. I know the defense was shit, but
they gave up 50 points a game.
You can have a shit defense and still win football games.
You're not gonna make the 4-team college playoff when your defense is giving up 50 points a game. That's impossible.
No, you're not going to make the 4-team college football playoff, but you can go better than whatever they did go.
They went 9-3. I got to look up their losses.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
They were either 8-4 or 9-3. They didn't win double digit. I know
they went 9-3. And I'll find you their losses, and it's disgusting.
And that's why I almost didn't want to say, because I knew we would go down the rabbit hole on this, but I had to with the old man take on Anthony Richardson. Sounds like I'm the only one guy that's high on him though here.
Yeah. All right. LSU lost the second game of the season to Florida State. They gave up 45 points. They lost to Ole Miss 55-49, and they lost to Alabama when Jaden Daniels got hurt. They won every other game.
Can't win big games.
Can't
They
win
beat
big games.
eighth-ranked
Can't win
Missouri
big
on the
games.
road. He scored 49 points on eighth-ranked Missouri on the road.
You fucking talk about Mizzou when we're talking about FSU and Alabama and Ole Miss. We're going to talk about Mizzou.
All right. Let's jump on to the second question here. We'll save that for when we get into the NFC East and actually get to talk Jaden Daniels. But second question, I had Pittman in fantasy last year. He was lights out. And that's the way, I said the question is Pittman was lights out last year. I kind of just made up a random line of Pittman receptions at 105.5. Do we think he's going over or under? He had 109 last year.
Yeah, I think Pittman will still have a good year, but kind of the guys you mentioned, they got Mitchell now, and with the healthy Taylor, I think this changes like an offense is going to be heavily focused on running and then taking shots, where Minshew kind of was the dink and dunk 7 yards to Pittman. So Pittman's still gonna have a good year, but I just don't know if he has that many receptions.
Yeah, in the first few games when Anthony Richardson was healthy and playing, Michael Pittman did have some pretty good games and some pretty high reception numbers in those games. So I feel pretty confident with that there. But it's the addition of Adonai Mitchell, Jonathan Taylor getting healthy. Josh Downs, who we haven't talked about yet, was very impressive last year when he was healthy. So if he can be healthy and on the field this year, he'll take away from Michael Pittman as well. So if he had 109 last year, I'm going to guess the under. I'm going to say he just has a couple less than he did last year, and I think that's enough for this under to hit.
Yeah, I think with the additions. And I was a little all over the place. First, I was in the mid-90s. Then I was like 101. So I didn't really know where to set this line, but I figured I'd be on the high end because he's still going to be the go-to guy regardless of who they added. But should be fun. And you did mention Downs. I mean, there's some fun pieces in this Indianapolis offense to be on the lookout for this year. But yeah, last year they were almost a playoff team. They had a winning record. They lost on the final drive. The Colts played in a win and get in final game last year. It was basically a playoff game because it was you win and you get in the playoffs. They lost to the Texans, who did go on to, win a home playoff game and then proceed to lose to the Ravens. But do the Colts make the playoffs this year? Yes or no?
No.
That's all you got. You're saving your ammo for the Jaguars talk?
It's a competitive division. They're not winning enough games to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I do think the AFC East could have 2, maybe 3, and the North will have at least 2. And then I think the Jags get in over the Colts.
Interesting. Yeah, it's going to be tough to see how these teams play out. Injuries always are a huge thing. But, Jack, before I jump in, how far ahead do you think the Jaguars are over the Colts? Like, are the Jaguars light years away from the Colts?
No.
No, it's close. I'm a serious question.
Unbiased, like the Colts are a very scary team. I'm not even joking. Okay, now I was about to say something a little out of pocket, but
please tell.
No, but listen, no, look, unbiasedly, the truth of the matter is the Texans and the Colts. Well, all three of include the Titans too. All three of them are very young teams that are loading up and putting pieces around young quarterbacks, this and that. There's obviously legitimate concern with the Texans because they just won the division last year, barely. And, CJ Stroud looks pretty good. But then over in Indianapolis, this is what I was going to say that I took back, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it because it's the truth. Anthony Richardson has a chance to be better than Trevor Lawrence and CJ Stroud. And period. He has
That was going to be my next question. I was going to load up for Brian, but continue.
He's got a chance to be better than Trevor Lawrence and CJ Stroud. I don't think all three of those quarterbacks, and I say that again, unbiasedly, all three of those quarterbacks are so talented. It's unbelievable. And whoever pulls away out of those three is going to be, the reigning AFC South champion for the next decade to come. And no, it's not for sure CJ Stroud yet, because we don't know yet. All right. It was Trevor 2 years ago, and then it was CJ Stroud. This year, it could be Anthony Richardson, but I don't expect it to be.
Well, let's get Brian in on this because he's got the evil villain smile going on.
Yeah, you look like you're like looking in at the catcher like it's fucking bottom of the
He's got the evil villain smile over there, so I'm sure he's got something.
I mean, I just disagree wholeheartedly with every single thing you just said.
Start from the top, Brian.
CJ Stroud is going to run this division for the next decade, and Anthony Richardson is already better than Trevor Lawrence, and you already know my thoughts about Anthony Richardson.
Wow, Brian, that's the stupidest thing you said. You've said a lot of stupid things on this podcast.
Trevor Lawrence is bad.
Brian, okay, I forgot. You have some weird thing where like you think Trevor Lawrence wants to be Daniel Jones or some weird shit like that.
It is Daniel Jones.
So I'm not even going to have this conversation with you, but to say that a guy who's had less than 4 complete NFL games is better than Trevor Lawrence is absurd. That's all I'm gonna say. Bro has not played 100 snaps yet.
Yeah.
Well, we still got some stuff to get through here, so I thought had to see where we're gauging on that front, because it is interesting. There's a lot of good quarterbacks, for potential. Like it's an interesting division, but yeah, like we were talking about, Jonathan Taylor's back. The offensive line is pretty healthy and pretty good. Is 1,250 rushing yards realistic for him this year?
Yeah.
I think he goes over this number. I think he might have like a 1,400 rushing yard year this year.
Yeah, I think it depends on what we see from Shane Steichen in this offense, and whether he wants to let Richardson take the carries and only play in 4 games again this year or not. But if they want to hold him back a little bit, give Taylor a little bit more run, he should have no problem hitting this number.
I think they'll definitely be conservative with Richardson flying into danger head first.
I mean, you would expect it. If you don't, I mean, there's no telling, what's going to happen. But, if history repeats itself, you play 4 games with this guy that everybody's touting as the best quarterback, in the division and this and that. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm a coach, you got to make sure this dude's available.
Jonathan Taylor is going to finish as the number 3 fantasy running back this season.
Behind who?
Behind Breece Hall and Christian McCaffrey.
Interesting.
I'm curious why Bijan Robinson isn't in that mix, Brian.
He's close behind.
Okay.
All right, last question, and then we can move on. But I highlighted the offense. I'm very high on Pittman. I'm high on Richardson. I'm high on Jonathan Taylor. I'm high on Donnie Mitchell. I think the offense is going to be good and surprise a lot of people. I don't know much about the defense. I don't know what pieces they're going to have going on. Can we see him be a top 10 defensive unit this year?
Sure.
Because if they are, they're a scary playoff team.
Zaire Franklin's the best defensive player in that division. So as long as he's healthy.
I'm so sick of your shit, Brian. So sick of your shit. The Colts
over Hines Allen?
Yeah, no shot.
That was the idea.
No shot. Oh my gosh. Sorry, you're just getting me so rattled because it's my division. When we come in with the NFC East, I'm coming at your neck, boy.
Yeah, I know you are.
Anyway, do they have a chance? Do the Colts have a chance to be a top 10 defense in the NFL this year? Yes, there's a chance for them to backdoor like 8, 9, or 10. But on paper, preseason right now, they're a middle-of-the-pack defense. no better than the Jags, no better than the Texans. I would honestly, if you really want to be honest, the Texans, Jags, and Colts are pretty much all middle of the pack defenses. They all have good pieces. They all have holes. And then there's just the Titans, like, way down here, like bottom 5 defense in the league. And now there's no Vrabel, so you don't expect them to be like a, hardcore defensive team anymore. That they're fucked.
I don't know that they'll be a top 10, but if they somehow manage it, they're scary. And that's all I got.
Yeah. It all depends on the quarterback.
What was I was gonna say? What was this whole? What was that, Brian?
I don't know. Matt's starting to convince me a little bit, and as I talk about the Jags more and more, I'm just the switches are starting to flip.
It's just annoying that like I feel like I can't have like my real opinions on the Jags because Jack thinks that it's just like us trying to be against him, but like it's like genuinely like what we think.
Listen, you come at me.
We're not coming at your neck. Like I feel like I have to closet my opinion because you get like upset when we rip on the Jags.
No. That's not how it goes down. All right, you gotta come at me with your straight up opinion. Am I gonna get heated and animated and tell you that you're wrong? Yes, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. I'm just gonna tell you why I think you're wrong.
Okay, fair enough. Well, speaking of the highly anticipated team, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock.
Oh, what a beautiful
Is that an eagle wing you were just doing?
No, I'm getting the crowd all hype. Let's go.
It did look like a little close to the
eagle flap.
What do they do? This?
No, that's like
Either
a
way.
chicken dance.
Exactly.
Either way, try and convince us why the Jaguars are going to be good this year.
Oh man, I mean, when you look at the Jags.
Oh wait! We got to do over under for the Colts.
Oh, true. Yeah, we got to pick.
Brian, over under 8.5.
You convinced me. I'm gonna have them at 9-8.
Hell yeah, Jack. I think I already know where you're going with this.
They're gonna go over. Yeah,
that's a squad ride. Talk about. I mean, I am a sales guy, but I definitely just convinced all three both of you that the Colts are going to be a great team this year because I got them as the over, and I'm actually very, 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 very high on this Colts, and I love them at plus 320 to win the division for a value play. Not giving you a lot, but for value at plus 320. Don't hate it. I know people put long shot divisional parlays together.
Yeah. I mean, look, they have a good squad, and the reality of it is, if Anthony Richardson stays healthy for 17 games, they should win 9 or 10 of them. And if he doesn't, well, shit. Then they got your boy Joe Flacco coming in to bring another team to a playoff run. So yeah, I'm really not worried.
Dude, it's literally written in the stars for them to be the Browns of last year. And what did they have? 12 wins?
They were a good football team last year.
I can just see in Brian's eyes. Brian is just slowly getting bought into the Indianapolis Colts.
They're going 9-8.
Yeah, I think that's what they finished, 9-8. But all right. You want me to get into the Jags?
Please.
All right. Why are they going to be a good team this year? Because they're a good team, period. All right. Last year, I think they were 8-2 before they really just hit the wall. And just the whole second half of the season was forgettable. Let's put it that way. Trevor Lawrence got hurt. Christian Kirk got hurt. Calvin Ridley couldn't stop dropping the football. We had fumbling issues, when we were trying to work in some guys. The defense got absolutely gutted. It was just a tough time, man. It really was towards the second half of the season. But the beginning half of the season, we were dominant. We looked good. We should have beaten the Chiefs in week 2. I mean, it was like good stuff. And what do we do this year? We add Eric Armstead, just absolutely bolstering that D-line. We have a top 3 defensive line in the NFL now. I'd love to debate that with you. But between Eric Armstead, Josh Hines-Allen, and Trayvon Walker coming into his 3rd year, it's going to be a huge issue for opposing offenses. And I'm not just saying that as a fan. It's going to be it's going to be scary. I don't know if we've seen something like it. All right, I know that the 49ers and the Eagles have had some insane defensive linemen and pass rushers over the years, the units, but this unit is going to be special. And then on the offense, I know we lose Calvin Ridley and everybody's so fucking, ooh, but we bring in Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis, who are two guys that can do what Calvin Ridley, the only thing that we asked Calvin Ridley to do was go deep and back shoulders and shit like that. So if you want to bring in Brian Thomas Jr., who led college football in touchdowns last year, if you want to bring him in to do that job, I'm happy with that. You want to bring in Josh Allen's old deep threat guy, Gabe Davis. I don't know if he's really going to contribute all that much, but I'm happy to do that. I mean, he's role player, right? That's what we talk about with Peyton Clark. All you have to do is step onto the field, go long, catch deep balls. If you can do that, we're paying you. So I just think we're going to have a great offense. We made additions to the O-line. Everybody's just getting older and better, not older and decrepit. We're not talking Andrew Whitworths out here. We're talking about young guys that are coming into their prime. I just think up and down the board, we're looking solid right now. I don't see any holes in our game.
Besides the quarterback.
We all know Brian.
What's the first question, Jack?
We all know Brian hates Trevor Lawrence. All right, we can just get right into the questions. So out of those three big defensive linemen I named, Josh Hines, Allen, Eric Armstead, and Trayvon Walker, who do you think leads this team in sacks?
I mean, I'll take Hines Ward again, or was it Hines Allen? Yeah, I'll take him. Didn't he do it? Didn't he lead the NFL last year?
He didn't lead the NFL last year, but he was up there.
Yeah,
top five.
I'll take him.
Do we have to call him Hines Allen all year?
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame me.
I know it's his name.
Can't blame me for butchering that. He just got that legally changed a month ago.
I know it's his name now, but it just adds an extra syllable. We got to say.
Yeah. Brian, what would you like to call him?
Just Josh Allen.
Put some respect on his name.
Okay, can we call him JHA? No, that's even longer. They're the same. Yeah, okay, it's gonna be Hines Allen. He'll lead the team in sacks. Trayvon Walker isn't good. I know you've been waiting on his breakout.
Oh my God, here we go.
Bro, I see. This is the thing. Is I just want to tell you that you're wrong, but I just gotta let the boys go out there and prove it on the gridiron this year.
You were talking all last year about how he's just not been the number one pick he should have been, and it's been 2 years now. When's it gonna happen?
But by the end of last season, I was bought in. By the end of last season, watching him compared to Hutchinson, I said yes, we did make the right decision.
So you're gonna stand on that?
Oh, I'm standing on that. He's having a big year. I'm telling you, this D line is insane. These teams aren't gonna know what hit him, dude. See, everyone's worried about this receiving core in Houston. CJ Stroud ain't going to have time to throw the football. He's going to get sacked.
Wait, and the Jags had the opportunity to draft Hutchinson over Walker?
Yeah, Walker was the number one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right call, dude. I know you got to defend the pick, and I respect that, but I don't know if that's the right call.
The rookie years, you were absolutely right, but that's what people were saying. It was Hutchinson was ready now coming out of Michigan. He was ready now to come into the NFL and be a productive defensive end. They were saying Trayvon Walker, coming out of Georgia, who is almost twice the size, if you can believe that, but is. And they were saying, he's going to be a project play, but at the same time, I'm fine with that because here we are in year 3. This is when the projects come to fruition, and I was bought in by the end of last year. So, here we are after yet another offseason. He's going to be working with Josh Hines Allen, Eric Armstead. It's just I'm so excited for this defensive line. Well, we might lead the league in sacks.
I don't know. I mean, you can keep feeding yourself that propaganda, but I think you just described another gaffe by the Jaguars in their front office. If you want them to win now, they should be built to win now and draft a guy that's going to help them win right away. Why are you drafting a project when you have the AFC South up for grabs? You're going to wait on a guy for 2 years while you let the Texans get CJ Stroud and you start 8-3.
Brian, this was 3 years ago.
Yeah, and they were built to win.
No.
The last 2 years, we've been hearing all about the Jags and their Super Bowl aspirations.
No, Brian, no. Three. Trevor Lawrence, in his first year in the NFL, had Urban Meyer as his head coach.
Yeah.
Okay. That was an absolute wash for the organization, absolute wash for his development. He basically had his rookie year 2 years ago. Okay. So you want to give him his rookie year. Okay. You think we have Super Bowl aspirations in his rookie year?
When they hired
No.
Urban Meyer, they were talking about how it was going to be like the turnaround, and the Jaguars are going to be a perennial playoff team, and they're built to win now. So you would think you would want to draft guys that are ready to win now.
And then
Brian, we all know how the fucking Urban Meyer experiment went. Can we act like that was a real thing? Like, are you just acting like that wasn't real? I mean, we had the worst football coach of all time on our team drive us into the ground for Trevor's first 8 games of his career. I don't think he made it past 8 games, but
I'm saying that they've built a team that they are telling their fans like you and torturing their fans because they're saying, let's win now. And then they're drafting projects to waste during this window. So by the time
we're clearly never going to agree here.
Right,
you guys are just repeating yourselves.
No,
but
because
the defense is going to be electric. I'm on that page. Their defense, I think, is going to be elite. The offense, that's a different story.
Stupid, Brian. It's just stupid. You're telling our people, our listeners, incorrect information. That's stupid.
Jack, what's question number 2, please?
What?
I feel like I'm moderating a debate right now.
I don't want Brian saying incorrect shit about my franchise.
I'm saying what you said. You said Trayvon Wagner's a project and Aiden Hutchinson was ready to win now. So why are you not drafting the player ready to win now when all you're
Because we weren't ready to win now. Our window wasn't open yet.
But last Brian's year, saying the hiring of Urban Meyer, which was the win now move, contradicts still that pick.
Okay, no. You bring in Urban Meyer, you draft Trevor Lawrence first overall. Your mindset is not win now with the rookie quarterback in his first game. You think the Bears have a win now mindset?
Yes.
You think?
Well, yes.
They signed DJ Moore and Keenan Allen.
Let me clarify.
Is Keenan Allen?
Do they have a win now
rebuild team?
Do the Texans? CJ Stroud's been around a year. You think the Texans want to win now? Yes.
Yes. Okay. I said that incorrectly. They do have a win now mindset. Do they think they are going to win now?
Yes.
The Bears? No.
Yes.
No. Nobody expects. No. I can tell you right now, not a single Bears fan expects Caleb Williams in his first year to lead them to a Super Bowl victory. Not a single Bears fan.
I think they are. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
No, the window does not start this year. The window does not start this year.
I think it does.
It does not.
They saw what CJ Stroud did, and now
no, because you see what Jordan Love is doing in your division. You see what Jared Goff and the Lions are doing in your division, and you go, no, this is not us. This is not our year.
We got to get Big Cat on the show and see what he thinks.
You gotta let Caleb cook. You gotta let him marinate. You gotta let him get better. Nobody in Chicago thinks that they're winning right now, and that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Can we get to question number 2?
Yeah, I was on the question 1.
Yeah, let me hit my LeBron real quick.
Holy shit.
All right.
Going down the rabbit hole of the fucking Chicago Bears.
All right, let me ask you guys a fun one, and I'm not even gonna respond to it. So, Brian, have as much fucking fun with this one as you want. Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence, baby? Who are we seeing more in Jacksonville this year?
Brian can say what he wants. I'll take Trevor Lawrence.
You're gonna throw me an Alabama quarterback in that hypothetical. The one like positional grouping in the NFL I hate more than Trevor Lawrence.
One or the other, Brian. It really should not even be this long of a
CJ Beathard.
God. All right, question 3.
CJ Beathard, who was just throwing dimes to new rookie wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr., who looked electric.
Yeah, I did see that like 40-yard catch, and I knew you'd bring it up. And I thought it would come up earlier than it did in the show, but I knew it was coming.
now that we're talking about wide receivers, Jacksonville wide receivers, thank you, Brian. Who's going to be the standout receiver? Is it going to be Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Brian Thomas Jr., or maybe Gabe Davis?
Travis Etienne.
You think so?
He's the best receiver on that team.
I mean, like, who's just going to be?
Why are we even doing this? Why are we even doing this?
I mean, I did preface the Jaguars saying, Jack, this is nothing personal. This is just what we think of how the team's going to shape up this year.
No, but that was personal. That was personal.
Brian might have a little bit more of a dig to some of these takes, but I'm genuinely just giving how I think. I'm again, nothing personal. I'm worried for this offense. I don't have a lot of faith in Lawrence, and I don't have a lot of faith in these wideouts. I don't know much about that new rookie guy, so maybe he lights the world on fire and you guys have a stud number one. But as it stands right now, I'm not sold. It's to me, again, nothing personal. It's just like an average offense. It's very average guys. Like Gabe Davis, okay. Like Kirk, okay. This new rookie, okay. Like the Colts offense is better than the Jaguars offense.
I don't.
Let's go one for one.
Don't.
You have Michael Pittman versus who? Who's Gabe Davis? Kirk?
No, Christian Kirk.
You're taking Kirk over Pittman.
I'll give you Pittman, but the gap is not that
Travis
big.
Etienne or Jonathan Taylor?
If Taylor is healthy, then I'm giving it to Taylor. But
and
again, not a huge gap.
Lawrence.
Not a huge gap. And then if we're going Trevor Lawrence or Anthony Richardson, yes, I'm going Trevor Lawrence. I'm not going with the guy who's played less than 4 full games of NFL football.
Are you on Lawrence too, Brian, or Anthony Richardson?
For now, and now meaning the immediate future, well, it's still preseason, Trevor Lawrence because of Jack's point, but it might flip for me by week 1.
And then you want to look at the supporting cast. You got Downs going into year 2. You got rookie Adonai Mitchell, who got taken after our rookie Brian Thomas. You got Gabe Davis, who's not a second-year guy. Evan Ingram, who just had 112, 120 receptions last year. You can't name me a single tight end for the Colts, you know. So, we got weapons out there. All right, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think that the Colts offense is more promising than what the Jaguars have. And I could be wrong. I'm just giving you my opinion, man.
I mean, listen, I'll put on I will take digs at you, and a lot of my takes will be very just towards you anti-Jaguars. But this one is something I do factually believe in. At their current trajectories right now, I would rather have Josh Downs than Gabe Davis. I don't think Gabe Davis is any good at all. So even in that battle, I'll take Josh Downs. So in the whole receiving core, I think the Colts just are much better.
Okay, but I think the key word there was trajectory. You would take for this season today, right here, right now, you would take Josh Downs over Gabe Davis for the 2024 season.
For me projecting what I'm going to get out of them this season, yeah.
I would take the Colts wide receiver room right now, all of them, over the Jaguars wide receiver room. I would take Jonathan Taylor over Travis Etienne. And for me, it's a 50-50. I would lean Lawrence on the QB situation.
Yeah. All right. I think that's totally fair. But I think the big piece that you're missing is Evan Ingram, who was our number one, maybe.
Yeah, that's Ingram over. I don't even know who the Colts tight end is. So you're absolutely right. I'll take Ingram over whoever that guy is. I think
they got Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods.
So I'll give you that. Next question.
I think we've spent enough time on the Jags.
Did you write 2
questions? I love the defense.
I asked you 3 questions, but I could ask you more, but I think we should just move on from the Jags. We're going in circles here.
Okay, that's fine. All right, well,
One more question. No, I'm just kidding.
You
at least give us the over-unders.
Yeah, we have to pick.
Oh, all right. Yeah, so the over-unders set at a measly 8.5 wins. I'm taking the over.
I don't think they score enough this year. I'm sorry, Jack. I'm on the under here. I got them at like 8 wins.
Yeah, I got them. I
Maybe
got them
7.
and the Colts in the exact same situation as last year. They're both going to be 9-8, so I'll take the over on the Jags.
No hard feelings, buddy. You can take the Eagles under.
No, I'll be taking their over, almost guaranteed. What's their line at?
I think theirs is pretty low. It's only like 9.5.
That's bizarre.
They
Or
got a
10
tough
and a half.
schedule.
They do have a tough schedule. Anything else on the Jaguars, or Brian? Do you want to wrap us up with the Texans, the mighty Texans?
Yeah, let's talk about
year 2 of C.J. Stroud.
the actual best team in this division, the Houston Texans. Over under set at 9.5, and the over.
See, that right there is a dig, by the way. That right there is a dig, the way you worded that.
The over has some fat juice on it at -150, 9.5. They added, obviously, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, and as we talked, Azeez Al-Shahir. But they also added Danielle Hunter, who's a little up there in age, but he's a good edge rusher. He was in Minnesota for a while. They lost a couple guys, no one really of note. Brian Cashman at linebacker was a rotation guy. Sheldon Rankins on the D-line. But they won the division last year, beat the Browns in the wild card, like Matt mentioned, and then went to Baltimore and lost to Lamar Jackson. So they handed Lamar his first playoff win since Vietnam. But yeah, I'll just go right into these questions because we spent so much time on the Jags. I feel like don't really have much to say about the Texans here, except they're a really good football team. But the first question is going to be Stephon Diggs was already seen yelling at C.J. Stroud on the sidelines in preseason week 1. What is a higher number this season? His blow-ups seen on the sideline on TV or his touchdowns?
Blow-ups.
Blow-ups.
All right. Another wide receiver, Nico Collins, was one of 3 receivers last year, CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill, with more than 30 PPR points in 3 or more games. Does he finish with the most fantasy points on this team besides Stroud?
Yes.
I'll just say no to be different. I think there's a lot of they got to spread the ball around. Defenses adjust year to year. It's the NFL. It's so good. I think they'll adjust to Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud at that matter.
All right. Well, then I'm pretty sure I know your answer to this question, but C.J. Stroud's in a virtual tie for 3rd with the lowest or highest, however you want to look at it, MVP odds. He's basically tied with Joe Burrow, and he's behind Mahomes and Josh Allen. He's right in front of Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson, and Brock Purdy. Will Stroud go sicko mode and win the NFL MVP?
No shot.
First of all, no, I don't think he will. Second of all, where's Jalen Hurts on that list?
He's behind Purdy.
Brock Purdy? Like, give me a break.
That's ridiculous.
Jack, you even know that's nonsense.
Yeah, no. Neither of them. I don't expect either of them to be really an MVP contention. But the fact that Hurts is behind Purdy makes 0 sense.
I think it's like just barely behind. Yeah, it's like 100 to 150 behind. So he was the next one, but I purposely left him off because I wanted you.
I mean, we're talking about the dude with what, like double-digit rushing touchdowns last year, and I know it's the tush push, but still, like
it's outrageous. Not even worth talking about because it's outrageous.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about it when we get to the breakdown. But no more Kelsey and Saquon's there. He's not going to be going down at the 1 as much. All right. So Houston is famous for its connection to space and the Apollo missions. Will Joe Mixon be given enough space in this backfield to set a career high in total touchdowns?
What's his career high right now?
I believe it's 19, but I'm going to double check that because that seems a little high.
Yeah, bro, he is not hitting 19 touchdowns with C.J. Stroud at the helm.
If it's 19, no, under.
Ain't no way, bro.
He had a lot the 1 year.
I know he did.
He had like 5 in a game.
Brian, don't you think if you ask that question, you should have that written down next to it?
I think I was supposed to, and then I
was I not supposed to come back with another question or something?
No,
it's definitely helpful to know how many touchdowns.
I definitely had the thought where I would have put it down, but I guess I was just
And I was going to say, you usually always have the number.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Okay, so he had 13 rushing and 21, and then he had 3 receiving. So it's 16, not 19.
Under.
Under.
Too many touchdowns for me, man.
Yeah, he's getting up there in age.
All right, last question. So Houston has 7 divisional championships in its history. 6 of those have come back to back: 2011, 2012, 2015, 2016, and 2018, 2019. Do they continue the trend this year?
Fuck. I hate that. I hate that stat.
Probably.
I hate everything about that stat.
They probably will.
History tells us yes, but I'm going to tell you no.
I think they probably will. For me, it's, again, Jack, this isn't a shot at you, but I got Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Titans is how this division's going to end.
And
with possibly the Colts winning it.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's how the majority of the public is going to see this division.
Not at all, because the Jags are second favorited.
I'm telling you right. I'd be surprised if by the time the regular season rolls around, if people still think the Jags over the Colts, I'd be surprised.
The number is getting closer, but before we pick a division winner, over under 9.5 wins for the Houston Texans.
Under. Losers.
Are they a 10-win team? Yeah, they're a 10-win team. I'll take the over.
I'm going over as well. All right, so division. We have the Texans plus 110, the Jags at plus 260, Colts at plus 325, and the Titans at plus 800. Who's winning?
Value play Colts, chalk play Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Houston here. I think I really like a Houston and Bengals divisional parlay in the AFC those are my 2 confident ones. But that is
also.
Go ahead.
No, it's another rabbit hole line. Just continue.
I also have Burrow winning MVP and the Bengals winning the Super Bowl
and 50 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm not as high on the Texans as I am the Bengals. Obviously, I can't have 2 teams winning the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, I don't even think you remember saying 50 touchdowns.
Yeah,
outrageous.
The number just looks really cool.
I cannot wait for the Texans to absolutely flop and people are like, yo, was CJ Stroud's rookie year just like a fluke or something like that? Because
and the Colts are going to win the division.
Well, that's the AFC South.
That was a good one. That was fun, and if that's what one guy on the pod's team is about, what the hell is the NFC? We're just going to have to dedicate the entire – no micro winners and losers, no any other – it's just got to be NFC East if that's what we're getting ourselves into.
Honestly,
the NFC East.
I kind of want to bring in a Cowboys fan or a Redskins fan if we can find a Redskins fan somewhere. But Commanders. If we can find a Commanders and a Cowboys fan to come in on the pod too. Oh my God!
I can get you. Remember?
We might start World War III in here.
Friend of the pod, Jenks. He gave us some of that music we use. He's from Texas and a Cowboys fan, so maybe something there if we want to do that. Yeah, let's run some stuff and get it going.
What are the picks here? I was 1 last time, right?
Yeah, I think I got 1 this time.
All right, I'll go 3.
3.
You're 3?
I'm pretty sure it goes 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 1.
Yeah, I'm first, Brian second, Jack's third.
Okay.
So what do we got? AFC South.
I'm never gonna get this right.
You're never gonna understand how a snake draft works.
AFC South. What do we got here? Wow, I actually hate the first pick here. I think the third pick is a great spot to be in, Jack.
I think so too.
I'll take Jonathan Taylor.
Good.
Yeah, Brian.
Now it's if I want to reach for Stroud or wait on Richardson. Well, I guess Jack wouldn't take Richardson, so.
I mean, I would. We're talking about a fantasy quarterback. He's the best fantasy quarterback out of this whole division for sure.
Let's go Stephon Diggs.
You don't love that.
That's a gross pick. That's a really gross pick. You don't even want Nico Collins, like the best receiver in that offense? Interesting.
Yeah, Brian was not confident with that pick at all.
No, he hates that one.
He hates that pick.
He hated everything about that. Well, what I'm gonna do is take Anthony Richardson, Brian.
Yeah, now I really hate it.
Yeah, I bet you do. And because there's not a tight end in this division worth a damn outside of Evan Ingram, give me Evan Ingram.
Wow, that just like basically gives me CJ Stroud right in my lap.
Yeah, I just tanked this draft. I don't even know what running back to go with now. I'm stuck between.
You got to go like Pollard
or Tajay Spears, and then. Oh, I'll take ETN.
And now you're stuck with Levis, though.
Yeah, because I'll take CJ Stroud.
I'll take Beathard. No, I can't take Beathard.
Calvin Ridley? Yeah, I'll take Calvin Ridley. Yes, over DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's going to get smoked week 1 and be out for a while.
Fair enough. That's a toss up. I feel like if you actually are doing like mock drafts right now, I feel like those guys are going in very similar spots.
I love my team.
I'll go with Kylan Granson, I guess, is the tight end I want in Indy.
All right, dude. I mean, I got Stroud, Ridley, and JT, so give me the fucking backup. I don't even know who it is.
Let's look at the
backup Jaguars tight end is probably, I would say Luke Farrell, maybe Brenton Strange.
Huge fantasy year coming up.
Which one do you want? Oh, wait, Jack's pick, though, right?
Big contributors. Brian,
yeah, Jack. Go 2 picks, then Brian's got to pick, and then I have to pick one of the Jags backup tight ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brian, who did you take in the 3rd round?
Kylan Granson.
Yeah, like laughing at me for my picks. Like, who the hell is that guy?
Yeah. I mean, dude, there's you've heard of other tight ends on the Colts before. I've never heard of that guy.
I think Granson is going to be better than Mo Alley Cox.
All right. Well, with my last picks, I need a Texan and a Titan, and I need a running back and a wide receiver. So I'm going to take Nico Collins from the Texans. And as far as a running back from the Titans, Pollard or Spears, I'm going to go Pollard just because I think that he's going to get a little bit more run. They paid the man some money. So, yeah, give me Tony Pollard.
Well, I got to go Mr. Mayo and his coffee. Will Levis.
Jack, who were your 4? You had Richardson, Ingram,
Nico Collins, and Tony Pollard.
It's outrageous that Michael Pittman got left off this list.
It is. And
absolutely outrageous. I know we have our restrictions, and I hope people in the comments know that so we don't get killed for leaving Pittman off, which I'm sure somebody's going to have something to say.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking like pure fantasy, and that's what we're doing, we're talking pure fantasy wide receivers, he's probably the 2nd best wide receiver in this division outside of Nico Collins.
In hindsight, I should have taken Stroud instead of Stephon Diggs. And then Pittman.
And then you could have got Pittman. Your draft would have looked way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah.
Like you have Diggs, ETN, that horrible tight end, and then what, CJ Beathard?
No, Will Levis.
Yeah, Evan Ingram is my MVP.
You laugh at me for having to do the backup Jaguars guy in my draft strategy. Brian, what the hell is that list?
Wait, which tight end do you want? Do you want Luke Farrell or Brenton Strange?
Whoever would get more time. Jack should maybe have the answer to this. I'm not sure.
As far as like fantasy points receiving goes, yeah, we're gonna go with Brenton Strange.
Yep, give me the Strange guy.
Hey, Penn Stater.
I don't love that.
Well, that's the show. Ends on Brenton Strange.
Yeah.
His 5 catches last year.
Lists have gotten a little tougher. Look, whenever you always can tell, my Wednesday energy is way different than my Sunday energy because Sunday's after the weekend bender. I got the weekend fog. I need to go to bed and eat some dinner. But I got nothing left. That was a long show, but that's what happens when, we got to talk Jaguars football, Olympic gold medals, the whole 9 yards, Mike of the week. I'm going to shoot the basket, and then I'm going to go eat some food and go to bed. I'll catch you on the next one. Let's see what we got. Oh, that was bad over the top of the door there. I'm telling you, sitting down in the chair is totally messes up my what I do here. But yeah, that's all I got. You guys shut it down.
Yeah, it looked like the entire women's basketball team shooting today.
No, they blow layups.
What the fuck just happened to Brian?
I have no idea.
That was really bad. I was trying to make a joke. People be coming for me, but I tripped on my chair as I went out of camera.
Yeah, that's a clip.
It looked like you got shot out your chair, dude.
Well, I might have. I mean, I may say one bad thing about women's basketball.
Now in the mix with DJ Savage.
You never know these days. They'll get you. All right.
All right.
It's been fun, boys.